So I wanted to do this segment. A few brothers reached out to me and asked me to talk about to kind of go into uh, some of the transitions in my life that I've made and the importance of spirituality in that. And I wanted to hit on this. I wanted to hit on this because I think it's so very important. But and I don't want you to get it mixed up. There is a difference between the spirituality and religion. Um, through my sojourn, through my time, I well, first of all, let's not misconstrue. Just because one talks about real issues here on a physical plane does not mean that um, they can't tap into spirituality, or that is non-existent in their life, or because they talk about issues that affect people here on this plane of things made manifest, which is earth. Some people tend to think, well, you can't be a a spiritual person. That's not true. But if people want to put themselves in that box, well, that's kind of on them. Here's my position. I talk about real issues. I bring to light real issues such as race issues, such as the stupidity in politics, such as uh, the few on this earth who try to control and monopolize the majority of the resources and the wealth for their own consumption while the many starve. Yeah, I'm going to talk about those things. But on the flip side, there is this thing, spirituality, and I'm not going to go so much in depth. It might be a later conversation. I'm not going to talk about hydroplaning, out how you can actually take yourself outside of your body. And I mean, those are higher levels of metaphysics and higher levels of things that man can tap into. Although I do believe in those things. um, my thing is this: is I tapped into spirituality out of a need, a necessity to want to know, uh, and a curiosity as to why many of the things that we hear growing up just, quite frankly, can't legitimately be answered. People will say, just believe. Uh, Things like, the Bible and the Quran, or whatever, the Torah. People will say, well, just believe, or you shouldn't question God, or uh, this other type of rhetoric that they give that just absolutely made no sense to me. And I think what happens is that, as a matter of fact, I know this is what happens. We become comfortable. We become comfortable with the daily mundane things uh, that we it kind of, I call it the cycle of life. We become comfortable. People even become comfortable with poverty. People become comfortable going to a job and on a daily basis, even if it's a job that they don't like. They might despise and hate this job, but they become comfortable with it because it just becomes a cycle of life. It's almost like, okay, we're following a pattern here. Let's just keep this going. It's what we do. It's my lot in life. And so I wanted to look past religion. I wanted to look past biblical text. I wanted to look past these things, and I wanted to get to the essence, because my thing was always, why do I have to go through somebody to get to God? I mean, why can't why does there need to be a middleman in order for me to get to God? I mean, and if God is the Father, then I kind of made that synonymous with my father or my stepfather that I grew up with. I didn't have to go through anybody to get to him. When he wanted to chastise me, he reached out and did that. When I wanted to, if I had to say something to him, he was right there. I didn't have to go through my mother to get to him. I didn't have to go through anybody to get to him. So I kind of looked at this God thing as the same way. Like, why do I have to, what's up? And so I started questioning. And when you start to pull away from certain things and you start to tap into certain things, because again, there's this comfortability. So you have to get uncomfortable. And once you start tapping into and aligning with new things, um, when you start aligning with new things, uh, you start to you start to you start to realize that maybe everything that you were taught might not be correct. And so then I started going through all the books, and I started reading, and many of the books were saying some of the same things, even though maybe the stories might have varied. But many of the books were saying the same thing. And then I started saying, well, you know what? Um, Maybe the books are just guides. Maybe the body of the church is just a guide for people who are trying to find themselves. But once they do find themselves, that they no longer need, that they can tap in directly. And so the transformation that we go through as a people, it can be uncomfortable. And even now it's uncomfortable. But what the one thing that I really tapped into, and I think Alana Van Zant said it in her book, The Spirit of a Man, the one thing that I really tapped into was the issue of, um, you say it, you put it out there, and then you act as if it's already done. And I started to realize the power that we as people have. I started to realize the power that we have, and that the energy is so strong that we have, and that we can actually put something out there. And I've seen it work. I've seen it work so many times, and even now, even though I've seen it work, I still question, because I'm still going through my transition, and I have a brother that I talk to that provides me spiritual edification. I call him my spiritual guru, and because I think it's important that we have that foundation, those reminders to let us know, brother, don't get caught back up in that old way of thinking. Don't get caught back up into that old cycle, that cycle of life, because we become comfortable with it. And so tapping into something new or doing something new, it's always that uncomfortable element to it, until you start to wear it like a cloak. And then it starts to become a little bit more comfortable for you. It starts to feel a little bit better for you. So even as I've made the transitions in my life, I've seen that when we put something out there, I put something out there, and I keep putting it out there. Meditation, put it out. Meditation. This is what I want to do. So even coming out of the prison industrial complex, everything that I have said up to this point that I was going to do, I've done. Now, I might not have done it yet on a level that I would like. It's still a progression, but everything I've said I was going to do, I've done it. And I'm still continuing to do it. But catch, I put it out there. I put it out there first. I put it out there into the universe. If thought travels at 24 billion miles per second, it was put out there. And then I wrote it down. And then I acted, because this is the prayer for me. That's how I pray. I put it out, then I meditate, and then I act. Because I think sometimes we get caught up in you pray and then wait for the bread to drop out of the sky for it. No, it doesn't work like that. However, once you put it out there, the universe hears that call, and I call the universe, that's God to me. So the universe hears that and reciprocates. It starts to move. It starts to work, because as you start to work, the universe around you starts to work, because everything that's within you, everything that exists within you exists out here. It just does. Take a look at the body, and then take a look at the universe and its magnificence. Not only its magnificence, but how it's set up. So everything that exists within here exists out here. You just have to tap into into your greater self. Because some people call it the Moors thing. I think they call it the higher self. You have the lower self of man and the higher self, and you tap into it. And I see you, Bradley, the law of attraction, absolutely. But you tap into it and then you put it out there and then you move on it. So, like right now, I went out on faith, and a partner of mine, my spiritual guru that I'm talking about, he said, Urema, he said, man, we were talking about the job and the stress that it was putting on me, and the pay was okay, but it was like, bruh, you're stepping away from what you said you were going to do. You're stepping away from that because you're letting this job take you someplace else. And he said, I can hear the stress in your voice. And I was like, man, and he was like, do your own thing. Tap into, do your own thing. You don't need that. Do what you said. It's easy. And when he said it was easy, it kind of frustrated me because, again, we get comfortable with things. We tend to get comfortable. I say it again, we get comfortable with poverty. So he said it's easy. You already know what to do because you've done it before. Put it out there, say what you're going to do, act on it, and just do it. And so I put in the 2-week notice at my job with nothing else lined up except a vision. I'm going to start my own thing because what I want to do, I'm not doing right now. And put that out there. And you know what? I lost. It was like as soon as I did the 2-week notice, and this was about three and a half weeks ago now. As soon as I did the 2-week notice, it was like stress just immediately left. And I always say that there's a certain amount of stress for me that I need to keep. A certain amount of stress is okay. Keeps me motivated to keep moving, to keep going, to keep, to stay on top of it. But there's a certain level. Once it reaches that peak, I just don't do it anymore. And so stepped out there on faith and have been putting in work because I put it out there. I meditated on it, but I'm not waiting on the bread to fall out the sky. I'm working, I'm networking, I'm connecting. So I'm doing these things and it's going to come. It's going to come. It's inevitable. And as I walk the journey, I'm going to let you know. And I think this is good for young brothers and sisters to know. Tap into that spiritual self. Tap into that spiritual self. Put it out there. Tap into that meditation that goes beyond the cycle of life. Get out of that cycle because that cycle can become comfortable and put you in a rut. And you're worth more here. You got more to do here. So I'll be having a few more of these series just to feed, some young brothers and sisters, man, and just share some of my life travels and some of the obstacles, because there's still obstacles. But again, it's recognizing the obstacles and not so much being comfortable, but knowing that this is temporary. It's going to move out the way, or you're going to find a way around it. That's just how it is. Once you tap into self, instead of staying stagnated in one position because you don't know how to get out of it, every solution is actually within you. You just got to tap into self. So, Urema Karama here, real life, real talk. These are the days of our lives. So with that, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to my webpage, www.uremakarama.com. Connect with me, message me. Look for my performance dates and locations. That should be listed on my webpage. Until next time, peace, blessings. One, I'm out.